why are they doing it, and why are they not using this solution? Is there an intuition? I mean, you've said the FDA has a stranglehold, I guess, on this whole public health problem.
Yeah.
Is that all it is?
That's honestly, it's pretty much all it is. The companies, somebody like Mayor Garcetti or Governor Baker, Cuomo, Newsom, any of these, DeWine. I've talked to a lot of governors in this country at this point, and of course the federal government, including the president's own teams, and the heads of the NIH, the heads of the CDC, about this. The problem is the tests don't exist in this country at the level that we need them to right now to make that kind of policy, to make that kind of program. They could, but they don't. And so what that means is that when Mayor Garcetti says, okay, what are my actual options today? Despite these sounding like a great idea, he looks around and he says, well, they're not authorized. They don't exist right now for at-home use. And from his perspective, he's not about to pick that fight with the FDA. And it turns out nobody is.
Why are people afraid of it? Seems like an easy, strong one to fight. It's like
it's not so they don't see it as a fight. They think that the FDA is the end all be all. Everyone thinks the FDA is the end all be all. And so they just defer. Everyone is deferential, including the heads of all the other government agencies, because that is their role. But what everyone is failing to see is that the FDA doesn't even have a mandate or a remit to evaluate these tests as public health tools. So they're just falling in this weird gray zone where the FDA is saying, look, we evaluate medical products. That's the only thing that I'm meant. Like Tim Stenzel, head of in vitro diagnostics at the FDA, he's doing what his job is, which is to evaluate medical tools. Unfortunately, this is where I think the CDC has really blundered. Yeah. They haven't made the right distinction to say, look, okay, the FDA is evaluating these for doctors to use and all that. Mm-hmm. But, we're the CDC and we're the public health agency of this country. And we recognize that these tools require a different authorization pathway and a different use, not prescription.
There's a difference between medical devices and public health. And I guess FDA is not designed for this public health, especially in emergency situations.
And they actually explicitly say that. I mean, when I go and talk to Tim, and he's a very reasonable guy. But when I talk to him, he says, look, we just do not evaluate a public health tool. If you're telling me this is a public health tool, great, go and use it. And so I say, okay, great, we'll go and use it. And then the comment is, but, does it give a result back to somebody? I say, well, yes, of course it gives a result back to somebody. It's being done in their home. He says, oh, well, then it's defined as a medical tool. You can't use it. So it's stuck in this gray zone where we unfortunately, there's this weird definition that any tool, any test that gives a result back to an individual is defined by CMS, Centers for Medicaid Services, as a medical device, right, requiring medical authorization. But then you go and ask, it gets crazier, because then you go and ask Seema Verma, the head of CMS, okay, can these be authorized as public health tools and not fall under your definition of a medical device? So then the FDA doesn't have to be the ones authorizing it as a public health tool. And Seema Verma says, oh, well, we don't have any jurisdiction over point of care and sort of rapid devices like this. We only have jurisdiction over lab devices. So it's like nobody has ownership over it, which means that they stay in this purgatory of not being approved. And so this is where I think, frankly, it needs a president. It needs a presidential order to just unlock them, to say, this is more important than, having a prescription. And in fact, I mean, really what's happening now, because there is this sense that tests are public health tools, even if they're not being defined as such, the FDA now is pretty much, not only are they not authorizing these as public health tools, what they're doing by authorizing what are effectively public health tools as medical devices, they're just diluting down the practice of medicine.
Right.
I mean, his answer right now, unfortunately, is, well, I don't know why you want these to be sort of available to everyone without a prescription. We've already said that a doctor can write a whole prescription for a whole college campus. It's like, well, if you're going in that direction, then that's no longer medicine. Having a doctor write a prescription for a college campus, for everyone on the campus to have repeat testing, now we're just in the territory of eroding medicine and eroding all of the legal rules and reasons that we have prescriptions in the first place. So it's just everything about it is just destructive instead of just making a simple solution, which is these are okay as public health tools as long as they meet X and Y metrics. Go and CDC can put their stamp of approval on them.